Welcome to Megan Kane's weekly Q&A session. This week she'll be discussing DPOs. So let's start by exploring what exactly the role of a DPO is.
So a DPO, otherwise known as a data protection officer, their role within a company is to oversee compliance with data protection and security. So what they generally do is you'll find a standard DPO that's qualified to quite a good level will actually produce the policies and procedures that companies need to abide by and adhere to within a company, and they will ensure that a company is adhering to these. They will take certain measures to make sure that all the policies are actually in place and they are working in good form and that they're relevant and up to date with whatever legislation is in place. You might have some DPOs that aren't actually qualified to a high level, so may run off the back of policies and procedures that are already in place with the company, but they will be ensuring that this is all working. Anything to do with data breaches, any rights and requests from individuals such as subject access requests, making sure that there's stellar procedures in place to deal with that as well. It's quite broad, but it is predominantly across data protection, but you'll also find that they'll work closely with the IT department to make sure that all their cyber security and different measures like that are in place to work along with whatever data protection legislation they're abiding to.
Okay, that poses the question of who exactly can be a DPO. Can anybody be one?
Well, no, not anyone can be one, because what you'll find is under the GDPR specifically and under the Data Protection Act in the UK, your role as a DPO can't actually clash with the role that you play. So there can't be any conflict of interest between your day-to-day job and your role as a DPO. That's if you have been sort of appointed within a company when you're already in there as carrying out another role, say as a sales advisor or something like that. If there's any kind of conflict of interest with the role of a DPO, then this can happen. So for example, the head of IT that would maybe be in charge of putting security measures in place, monitoring data breaches and so on, they for example couldn't be a DPO, which is unfortunate because you find that they usually have quite a good understanding of these things, but unfortunately, it could be in cases that maybe certain things could get hidden or they could get missed because of the pressures of the job. But you could appoint someone, for example, say a receptionist, a sales advisor, somebody that works in your accounts department, anything like that, finance. But you would need to take into careful consideration and just make sure there is no conflict of interest there. Or you can bring someone in specifically who's got lots of experience and is qualified within the data protection sector to solely work as a DPO.
Okay, in that case, do you actually think that DPOs are making organisations more secure?
Yes, absolutely. There's some organisations that under the data protection legislation is compulsory for them to have a data protection officer. So for example, public authorities, so you've got schools, councils and so on, they need to have a DPO in place. Companies that are doing mass processing of information, especially sensitive information, and I think that's really important in those circumstances due to the nature of the information that's being processed. But on top of that, if they don't fall under the compulsory category, it is also great to have a DPO in place because it means that there's someone there as part of their day-to-day role. They're making sure that companies are actually complying with any regulations that are in place, and it's not just kind of some random Joe blogs that already has a list of 15 things to do on a daily basis. It doesn't really have time for data protection, that's just been tasked with it. So it is really, I think it is a very vital role for a company to have on board.
That's great. Thank you, Megan.